Okay, thank you very much for the speakers that have come before us, and it's been a good morning so far. My name's Mike, I'm from EventLog, here today with my colleague and founder George Sherratt. Next slide please. So I just wanted to talk firstly about how we came about. So we were already involved in working with animal welfare software, and through a different business we support a number of the large animal welfare charities in the UK, including some very large ones such as Blue Cross. And there we have a package of software which allows for the tracking of animals, all of the activities with animals, veterinary behaviour, etc. and rehoming. And quite out of the blue we were approached by the British Horse Racing Authority back in 2015. And this was an introduction via a hardware manufacturer, which I'll come on to shortly. And we were tasked with developing an app, and it was a solution that they were looking to put in place to replace an already good paper-based system, but they could see that by adopting new technology they could move things on and improve what they were already doing in terms of welfare within the horse racing world. So we continue our work in the animal welfare world, but we spun out the company EventLog in 2018 to pursue what we think is an exciting market opportunity, and certainly as the months are going on, the interest that we're gathering, it certainly seems to be going that way. So in terms of the original brief, you would think it was quite simple. We were really just tasked with creating a seamless electronic collection and transmission system to track and event, check-in and various sampling and results. So we were having to put together a solution which would allow us to identify an animal, to identify the people who are with those animals, to identify different elements of samples, the vessels that the samples were going into, the people who were taking the samples, and to take various steps of validation to make sure that the chain of events were reliable. So we were looking to streamline the sample collection process, and also to tie that in with a laboratory information management system. So all of the samples, be it blood or hair or urine or other, they are sent off to a laboratory, often in A and B samples, and the samples are taken, and before our system was put in place, the paperwork would have to go with the samples. The laboratories wouldn't have much notice as to what information or what samples were going to be received, and by us integrating with the LIMS systems, we've been able to give the laboratory a heads up as to how many samples they'll be receiving, from what event, from which location, and therefore there's a check in place so that we can see if any samples have gone missing. But also it's important to note that the names of the horses, the owners, who's collected the sample, all of this data is anonymised. So in terms of the laboratory information management system, it really is just a number, so there's security there. Overall, the brief from the BHA was to help them preserve the integrity of British racing and to protect the rights of participants to race clean. And it really is something that everybody within sport, be it equine sport, canine or human sport, for the spectators, for the people taking part, and for the wider people involved, it's got to be a clean environment. So they just need to make sure that they have a level playing field, and that's hopefully where we came in. So A little bit back to front. I'm going to just talk about the hardware solution first. We worked with a hardware provider who doesn't just work within the animal world. They develop scanners in manufacturing, healthcare and other environments. And we put together, I don't know if the camera is on this device here. Yeah, this is a slightly older iPhone, but the device does take different cradles, so it will allow for newer iPhones or newer phones to be connected. I say iPhones. We decided to go for the iOS operating system, really because that's what BHA already had. That's what their staff used. They already had Apple devices. The device is, you'd be welcome to have a look at it afterwards, for those of you in the room. It's robust, it has been drop tested. I've been assured that it doesn't break. George is giving me a funny look and saying don't drop it and test it, but certainly it's very robust. In terms of the connection, it is a lightning connector, so those of you with iPhones will be familiar with that. The reason we went for this rather than a Bluetooth connection is really to avoid the device being tampered with, any Bluetooth signal being intercepted, and really just to ensure the integrity of the information that's being collected. We've worked with a number of different chip scanners, and yes, there are those that are inexpensive and there are those that are very expensive, and there really is a great range in the quality of the speed of which the chip scanners work. This particular chip scanner is it's so powerful it will actually pick up the chip through the horse's neck from one side to the other. It really is just a simple wave within the general area of the chip, and it picks it up. Also, just I mean, you'll see the ring, which is obviously the RFID scanner, but just below here is a 1D and 2D barcode scanner, and that is principally used for identifying name badges and test tube barcodes, consignment and shipping barcodes, etc. So that's the hardware. What we proposed was a fully integrated solution which allowed us to capture data from the long-range RFID, also from the barcode scanning on the vet cards or the trainer cards or name badges, and to process all of this through a smartphone app, to upload the data to the cloud and then to transmit it to the laboratories, for the laboratories to undertake tests on samples, and then for that information to be securely sent back both to the BHA and to our app. So this screen's gone. No worries. So the considerations whilst we were building the app, we needed to make sure that we could have pre-race data download. The reason being that with the vast number of events going on, we wanted to make sure that each device was, yeah, that's fine, that's good. Each device was up and running and had all of the information on it. So were it to go into a situation where there was no 3 or 4G coverage or Wi-Fi coverage, that all the data would be on there. Also, the scanner, whilst it's been tested rigorously, the option for manual input capability has been built in, so if there were a last-minute failure of the actual hardware, an alternative scanner would be able to be used to retrieve a chip number, and then we have the option for manual input capability. A lot of work has gone into the user interface and testing amongst sample groups to make sure that it's intuitive to use. So really anybody who is familiar with an iPhone would find their way around the app quite comfortably. There's the opportunity for offline working capability, so animals can be scanned, samples can be collected and scanned, and all of this information is held securely in the phone. Quick mic, Scott. Okay, right. So yeah, all of the information is held securely in the phone, and then it is transferred securely, and that's absolutely essential, because it's the chain of evidence that we're collecting, which is helping the British Horse Racing Authority and others to really make doping far more difficult. So just working through a number of the key features, the microchip implanted in the horse, that is scanned using the scanning device. Horses can be assigned to stables on arrival at a race course. The individual using the device can also be prompted to undertake random passport checks, and for that information to be recorded. Stables can be marked as out of action, and also there's a race checking functionality to ensure that the correct horses are racing in the correct race. So a number of checks typically take place throughout an event. Horses will be scanned on arrival at an event. They'll be scanned and then allocated to a stable. That stable can be scanned. The stable hand presenting the horse can be scanned. Any vet interaction can be recorded and signatures captured. The recording of employee identity cards, again, is through the 1D and 2D barcodes. And also the particular kit that we use with the BHA, each of the test tubes are actually etched with a unique barcodes. And our scanner is sufficiently capable to scan a clear glass etched test tube. So when samples are taken, as well as scanning the barcode on identity badges, we're able to collect signatures, and all of this data is transferred to the testing labs. We download all of the fixtures and the times for the horses when they're racing or eventing. All of the horse data is downloaded and sent to the device. Whilst we don't do markings for the British Horse Racing Authority, we do work in other arenas, so in greyhound racing, where we've got a very detailed marking sheet mechanism, which brings up the marking sheet and allows you to verify the animal both by chip and also a visual identity. And there is also the possibility to upload other files if it were images, so photographs, for example. Once samples are taken, sampling is typically done on the basis of the performance of a race. So if there's an unexpected winner, it is likely that they will be tested. If a particularly strong favourite comes a long way back in the field, you would question why has that animal not performed as we perhaps expected. And also there's a lot of intelligence-led identification of horses for testing. So tests are taken. The labs are provided with the samples. All of the consignments are scanned, so consignments can't go missing. The labs are expecting a certain number of samples. They do all of their analysis to identify any drugs or any findings which they shouldn't find. The information is then sent back, and that gives the BHA the information to take the necessary measures. So, So in terms of advantages, it has allowed the BHA and also I mentioned the Greyhound board to reduce their data entry time and increase efficiency of the collection of data significantly. There's no more accidentally putting in the wrong chip number. You quickly capture the information of the individuals that are with the horse, and all of this is pre-populated, and it allows for a very slick process. We've removed reliance on mail couriers to some degree. The samples still need to be sent by courier, but the actual details of what blood samples and that are coming to the laboratory are sent electronically, so that helps. There's a cost saving in a lack of need for printing of paperwork and archiving. All of this is held on a back-end database securely. And also, because each person using a device they're essentially tracked, because every time a scan takes place, whether that's an RFID scan or a badge scan or a signature, that is tied back to the unique identifier of the phone and also the unique identifier of the scanning device. And so it allows for performance management, and you can see effectively how efficient each of your checkers have been in checking. So you can see who is performing their role efficiently. So, in terms of the future, I mean, we've heard about some very interesting and exciting things around the corner here in terms of biometrics and things like that. But we are working firmly with microchips at the moment as a way of identifying the horses. I've already indicated that we've got the technology for capturing the marking sheets. Certainly biometrics is something that we are watching, and as the technology evolves, I can see that it's something that we could certainly take advantage of. We have been working with the British Horse Racing Authority for a number of years, coming up for 4 years now, and we are gathering a good deal of interest from bloodstock auctioneers, trainers, owners, vets, and also welfare bodies. And as I've already mentioned, we've deployed this technology across greyhound racing in Great Britain. So if you happen to go and watch any of the greyhound racing in GB or any British horse racing event, then you'll be sure that this device and this technology will be being used there. So that's that. So if anyone's got any questions, I will field them or pass them to my colleague. Yeah.
Was event log involved in, did you just come on board into horse racing and ground racing, or what was the background of event log before?
Sorry. Oh, the company's origin. No, the company that Eventlog came out of was or is called Anilog, and that is the animal welfare software business. So you'll see the similarity between Eventlog and Anilog. We followed the same naming convention, but yes, it's a new business, but with the existing staff. So.
Yeah, we've very strong rules here in Ireland, with 5-year bans now being given to jockeys tested positive cocaine, and some of the jockeys are reporting that, the best thing that happened in their life, and I think it's great that we've got such leading technology being used in the UK for the world to look at, and we've just had messages there, expressing interest in bringing this to America. So
okay, encouraging, good. Any other questions? Sorry, I would just say, if anybody would like a demonstration and you're in the room, we're here until tomorrow. Sadly, we can't be here for all of the BreezeUps. But also, if you've got access to the video, you'll see our web address, and there, if you'd like to get in touch and organise an actual demonstration of the kit, we do a very good WebEx with screen sharing on the iPhone. So we'll welcome any inquiries. Thank you very much. Thank you, David.